How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. First one for 2022. We've had a break for a while. Simon's back from a bit of a break. I'm back from a break, and we're going to jump straight into some of the action. There's a lot to talk about. I think we'll go into some of the more interesting topics for the current time, Simon Djokovic and the Australian Open. Let's start off with a quick chat about that.
Yeah, sure. Very interesting. A kind of story that's been developing over the last few weeks. Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows, he's actually been deported from Australia
Yeah.
now, and unfortunately won't play in the first Grand Slam of the year. And yeah, it started all about 2 weeks ago when he was detained after arriving in Melbourne. And Australian law says you can't be unvaccinated against coronavirus to enter the country. So regardless of whether you pass a PCR test to show that you don't have COVID or not, you still can't enter the country. So he actually spent 5 days in immigration detention, and then was released to go on and train and so on, and everything seemed to be fine. And then a few days ago, he actually entered some legal proceedings, which resulted in his visa being cancelled over his vaccination status. So yeah, I mean, the main reason I think the Australian government is deporting him is that they don't want obviously unvaccinated people to enter the country. But I think they're worried about it sort of undermining the rule of law, and for allowing locals to think that being
Mm,
unvaccinated is even an option, which it isn't in Australia, which I do think is quite hectic. But I guess that's another discussion. Um, but yeah, I must say I'm kind of glad this whole thing's over now. I can actually focus on the tennis again because it's been kind of sort of dominating the headlines over the last while. And to be honest, it's not really related to tennis itself. It's kind of a political issue,
yeah.
which I prefer, generally speaking, that politics, as much as possible, stays out of sport. So
Yeah.
it's a tricky one though, because Djokovic is trying to surpass Federer and Nadal, being the most crowned player, and his time is running out.
Well, you should just get the damn vaccine then. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, it's obviously it's a personal issue, but I can't
Yeah.
quite understand it. But
Very simple
I
solution.
very simple solution, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the Open has gone ahead, and I think that to be honest, the Australian government didn't really have an option. I mean, if
No.
they can't go back on what they're saying and make an
Yeah.
exception for somebody just because they're a
It was
sporting star.
lost as soon as they detained him. If they just let him in, I don't think there would have
Exactly.
been. It would have been a bit of a, people would have kicked up a fuss, but it wouldn't have been anything like we had now. But anyway, let's move on
Yeah.
to some cricket, which has been taking place in the South
Mm.
Africa versus India Test series. Been pretty good. South Africa, wow. Talk about
Yeah.
putting in a couple of shifts and a half.
It was amazing, actually. I mean, we actually beat India by 7 wickets in the third and final test, which was at Newlands. Oh, I really wish I
Empty
could have been
Newlands,
there.
unfortunately.
In empty Newlands, yeah, I wish I could have been drinking beer on the lawns there to see it.
Yeah,
But
some fantastic weather
what a
then as well.
yeah, I mean, absolutely perfect, as it normally is. I mean, January is normally a very hot month in Cape Town, and it's obviously a tradition that we host a test series at that time of the year in the beginning of January. So it was a real pity that it wasn't obviously the spectacle that it could have been. But regardless, yeah, the series was tied up 1-1, and South Africa, after in the second test, they lost by 113 runs at Centurion, and then we clinched it in style. I mean, there's some really good positive things coming out of this series. I mean, Peterson, who's just proved himself to be a really good batsman. He scored 82. Van der Dussen also came to the party. Bavuma was great. He kind of guided our innings, and believe it or not, India actually haven't won a Test series in South Africa. And
Yeah.
which is quite bizarre. I mean, so the Proteas. I mean, look, they haven't played more than a couple, but the Proteas now lead India 7-0 in Test matches
Hectic, yeah. Yeah.
On South African soil. So that's really impressive. But I think just sort of looking at this series overall, I think that India will be very disappointed because they actually had a lot of good fast bowlers for a change. And the South African batting lineup is quite inexperienced
Yeah.
overall. So but the thing was, I think every South African kind of stood up and was counted. I mean, as I said, Olga, Rabada, new faces like Peterson and Janssen, they all kind of came to the party. So I think actually, despite all the off the field drama in South African cricket, I think we're in quite a good place right now. So hopefully, you can kind of carry this momentum into the future.
Yeah, until we go on tour, get our asses handed to us. But
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic series, and especially that match at Newlands, and it's so sad that the stadiums aren't open yet. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do anything else, I think, in the country, literally anything else, except go
Mm-hmm.
watch a sporting event, which is
Yeah.
sad. But anyway, let's move on to the African Cup of Nations, which I have not been following too closely. I thought I was going to follow it, and I was like, ooh, there's going to be some footy on. But the Premier League is kind of eclipsed that with the goings on. We'll get to the Premier League. But yeah,
Yeah.
AFCON, you've been following some of the action. No South
Well,
Africa,
actually,
so
I haven't because I've literally been away since the day it started. So I've had a bit of leave and I've been away. I went on a really nice 5-day hike, and so I haven't actually caught any of the games. But I think before we talk about this, let's just quickly mention. And unfortunately, it's closed now. But Betway ran a really nice Golden Boot promotion where you could win 20,000 rand in cash for predicting the top goal scorer as well as how many goals they'll score in total. So entries are now closed for that, unfortunately, but I'm glad to see, such a fun predictor game with a nice big cash prize. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
yeah, I went
yeah,
with Salah with like 5 goals. I think that was my
I'm
prediction.
sure, I'm sure he won't. Anyone, yeah, I'm sure Salah and Mane would have been probably make up 50% of the predictions, I imagine.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that cash prize will be shared with any winners who, well, if you predict obviously both things right, both the top goal scorer and the amount of goals. But yeah, it's a nice game, nice predictor game.
yeah. Once off,
Um,
one and done. Get into, well, too late now. But those ones always nice. Get entered. Do it once. You don't have to play
yes,
every day.
oh, absolutely. But yeah, we've seen some interesting results. I mean, the tournament favourites, well, sort of joint favourites, was Senegal, Algeria. We actually held to a 0-0 draw by Sierra Leone, which is quite a shock result. Then looking at some of the other results, some shocking, some not so shocking. I mean, Cameroon walloped Ethiopia 4-1. Gabon held Ghana to a 1-0 draw, which was quite interesting, and then Nigeria sort of swept past Sudan 3-1.
Mm.
But I think the biggest upset so far, and was Algeria losing 1-0 to Equatorial Guinea, and they were 3-10 favourites, Algeria, to beat them. So Algeria really haven't had a good start to the tournament, despite being joint favourites to actually win the whole thing. And if you're looking at the groups right now, as it's still early stages or early-ish stages, but Cameroon, Senegal, Guinea, Morocco, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Gambia are the current leaders in their respective groups. So yeah, moving towards the end of the group stages and going into the knockouts. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah, I
who
think
can qualify.
I'll probably catch a few more matches in the knockouts. I think that's more my kind of
Mm,
where my interest is going to lie, because I just haven't been following it at all. I haven't been watching the results. Just looking at watching the Premier League really.
mm-hmm.
And let's move over to that. So we're not going to go too far back. I mean, we can go back a
Yeah,
couple of weeks since the last podcast. Just focus rather on the last weekend of action. I mean, the big match there was City versus Chelsea. City winning that 1-0. Kind of, I would have gone there. Pretty good. I don't think you would have got the best price on City, but pretty okay match. And the one that I was
yeah,
disappointed was the Newcastle one. I watched that match, Newcastle Watford, and man, I was so bummed when they scored. Like when Watford scored right towards the end, because that was almost like a 6-pointer.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't catch any of the Premier League either. So we'll chat a bit more about upcoming games, but I can't really comment on what's happened in the last few.
So Saint Maximin scored an absolute cracker in that game, and then we had Aston Villa drawing with United. Bit of I don't want to say an upset, but I mean United still kind of struggling to find the legs. Liverpool smashing Brentford as expected. West Ham going down to Leeds 3-2. That was quite an interesting match. And then the Spurs Arsenal game being postponed due to COVID. So let's jump straight into the upcoming fixtures.
Yeah.
Let me bring them up here on Betway. We've got Brighton versus Chelsea. We've got I think Chelsea is pretty easy win there, 1.7, pretty good price.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Obviously there are some players representing their countries in AFCON 2022, which is obviously going on now. So that will change things for some teams more than others. But yeah, this is a previously postponed match, this Brighton Chelsea one. And I mean, Brighton really seems to have lost their solid home form over the last few weeks. I mean, they were kind of always kind of picking up points at home, and they've actually only beaten Brentford, who are of course newly promoted, in front of home fans in the past 7 matches. So I also thought that 7-10 was quite a juicy price on Chelsea there. I think even being away from Stamford Bridge, 7-10 is
Oh, it's
definitely
1.77 now, so it's closer to 8 to 10.
wow. So that price has
Yeah,
moved out more even.
I
Yeah,
know. It's a good price.
that does look good. I mean, one thing maybe to consider there, they've got, and we'll talk about this later, but they've got a big derby against Spurs, but that's only on Sunday, so it's not too close. So perhaps you could think they might have their eye on that match, but I don't know. I still
It's
think
also
it's
3 points in the build up to that match. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I must say I expected this to be closer to 1.5, 1.55
same.
maybe. So looks a decent price.
Yeah, I'm going with Chelsea there as well. So Spurs against Leicester, that's going to be quite a hard fought one. I'm not picking a winner there. United against or Brentford hosting United. United 1.8. I can't take United at that price. It's just a little too short. They should beat Brentford comfortably though. I think like a 1-0, 2-0 kind of win. Watford, Norwich, Everton, who Everton sacked Benitez finally.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been a long time coming, I think, and I think Everton fans will be grateful for that. I mean, look, I think he's had his
Oh,
he's
he's
had
had
his days.
ample
Don't get me wrong.
opportunity. Yeah.
He has, and he's had his days, and he's been successful with teams in the past. But I just think he's definitely reached his expiry date at Everton.
Yeah, I think he's reached his expiry in the Premier League. To be honest,
Mm,
maybe maybe go back to Spain or something would be
yeah.
a good move for him at the moment. But yeah, then we have the next set of fixtures coming up. We've got United taking on West Ham. It's on the weekend, I think, and Liverpool taking on Crystal Palace. Liverpool 1.6 to that one. A little bit short there. Arsenal taking on Burnley. If I can give you a banker here, Simon, it's Arsenal to beat Burnley at 1.43.
Yeah, no, that's something that could definitely throw into some multi bets. I think the something that stands out to me here, and look, it's not a fantastic price, but I think when United host West Ham, and that's in the 5 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, I really like both teams to score there, and you're only going to get 1.65 or 13 to 20 in fractional odds, which isn't the most generous price, but I could see this one coming in quite easily, even in the first half potentially. So I like both teams to score there. I think there'll be goals in that one.
1.62 over on BetBuy. Okay, that's a nice bet. I like United are kind of conceding, and West Ham also seem to be letting in a few, but they're both of them. I don't think are struggling up front, so I think that's
Yeah.
quite a solid strike there. Then we've got some AFCON. I don't have any picks for the AFCON coming up, Simon. I don't think there's too much. Unless there's anything else in the Premier League that you want to chat
Well,
about.
there
It
is.
is a lot.
Yeah. Well, we can chat. We can chat about the AFCON just now, but let's just maybe chat about, I suppose, on paper, the biggest game potentially, which is Chelsea and Spurs.
Yeah,
I don't have
London.
any. Yeah, a bit of a London derby. I don't have any strong opinions about this game, but I think I would certainly lean to unders in this one, and I think that's quite a nice price at 1.87. I think this looks like the kind of match to me which would be could quite easily be sort of tied up at 1-1. Sorry, tied up at 0-0 at halftime, and then three or more goals seems unlikely over the course of the match. I mean, Spurs aren't conceding a lot of goals, and I think a Chelsea 1-0 or 2-0 result looks the most likely to me. So I think under 2.5 at 1.87 looks a fair price.
Yeah, I fancy Chelsea here at 1.69. I think it's a pretty good price, to be honest, playing at home. Spurs aren't great this season. I think look, as you mentioned earlier, there are players missing and all of that. But I think this is a good spot for Chelsea to pick up a win against Spurs. I'm surprised the odds are 1.69, to be honest. I would have had them more around 1.5 maybe.
Yeah, I think. Look, I prefer the match odds on the Chelsea win against Brighton away from home. But yeah, look, they have to be favoured here. But I just think the under to me looks more attractive.
Okay. Maybe Chelsea to win an under.
Sure,
What's the combo on that one? Let's have a
under
look.
2.5.
Under 2.5. Here we go. Chelsea and under 2.5 is 3.8. Might have a little stab on that one.
Yeah.
Not a bad price. Let's jump over to some AFCON. Let me find it over here. Where are you? And do you have any selections? As I said earlier, I really don't have anything.
Yeah, look tonight. Senegal play Malawi. As quite heavy favorites. Senegal obviously joint. Well, now they are the clear favorites. They were the joint favorites, anti-post. But Senegal, who are now the tournament favorites, face Malawi, and they'll obviously be heavy favorites for this one. Zimbabwe face Guinea. Morocco play Gabon, and Ghana will play the Comores. There's one bet I quite like. And that's the game between Senegal and Malawi. The Senegal drew 0-0 with Guinea as favourites, and I think the pressure on them now is quite immense to qualify and move through to the knockout stages from Group B. And I think Malawi scored 2 goals against Zimbabwe last time out, and I think they can be quite dangerous on attack. So their last game ended 2-1 to Senegal. And I think over 2.5 goals here looks the way to go. And look, I mean, whenever you have 2 African teams playing, you generally have the bookies favour the under.
Yeah.
And so you're always getting a bigger price on the over. And I think this one could quite easily end over 2.5 goals. So you're getting 23-20 on over 2.5 goals here, and that's where I'll go with this one.
Okay, pretty tasty. Yeah, 2.19 over here. Yeah, I think they're good at kicking the ball over the bar rather than into the back of the net. When the bookies think when they price up African soccer, it's especially with the PSL. Sure, all those normal draws from years back. Anything else? I mean, I'm looking here. I'm quite surprised to see Zimbabwe 6.8 against Guinea. But I'm not getting involved there. These are teams that I really know very little about. Ghana 1.7 against Comores. I mean, I'm assuming Ghana is going to be able to beat a little island nation like the Comores. But I'm not going to get involved with any AFCON betting. I'll probably stay away from it for the entire tournament, to be honest. I'm going to watch some of the knockout matches. But these teams are just so unpredictable. Then Simon, we have some cricket coming up with the ODIs between South Africa and India.
Yeah.
You fancy South Africa's got a chance?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the first of 3 one-day internationals between South Africa and India, and it starts tomorrow, and that's at Boland Park in Paarl.
Beryl.
In Beryl, yeah. I think India will obviously be eager to make a comeback, and they do have a full squad. And I think, the ODI and Test series format is obviously very different. I think, despite their lack of experience for the most part, I think the South African batsmen are in pretty good form. As I mentioned before, Bavuma, Van der Dussen, Milan, I think they're all capable of kind of anchoring the South African innings and keeping the scoreboard ticking over. I think also Rabada looks his old self. He really does. He's bowling brilliantly. And that I have a lot of confidence that he can carry his momentum forward. Keep up his good form. But that said, I mean, you have to kind of look at past results, and South Africa's form in ODIs has been pretty poor. I mean, we lost 5-1 to India 3 years ago, and then we've also lost to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and we even drew 1-1 in ODIs against Ireland.
Yeah.
So our past form is not all that encouraging. I want to back India here, and I think it's probably might be the biggest price you see in a while. But I don't know, something just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right in terms of South Africans. They look good. They look quite confident, and I mean, there's no doubt that India are rightful favourites here. But I was looking into a few trends and so on, and there's something which I prefer, which has actually persisted over the last 6 matches between South Africa and India, and that's India being the team with the top batsmen. And you can bet on that at odds of 1.63 with Betway, and I think that's something which, as I said, look, don't get me wrong, I've mentioned South Africa's batting lineup has actually been performing really well, and they're in some good form, but I just think that that India being the team with the top batsmen is to me just a slightly more attractive bet than backing them to win the match. So I like that at odds of 1.63.
Okay, well, fantastic. So some cricket coming up. I'm definitely gonna be watching that one. I'll just go check 10 o'clock, 10 in the morning. Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have some ODIs on during the day. You just kind of keep it on the screen and have it on the radio or something like that. If they even still play it on the radio,
I think they do. Radio 2000 normally has
Radio
cricket. Like,
2000, or was the other one here when the rugby
yes.
comes on. Right, Simon, then we've got something that you're probably very excited about, and Djokovic isn't. That's the Australian Open coming up.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the thing with the Oz Open, I mean, I love to watch it, but the problem is,
Times.
it's one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest Grand Slams to keep up with in South Africa because of the time difference. I mean, the final matches of the day are played as early as 11:30 in the morning, which means kind of most of the action's over. Before you sit down to watch in the evening, everything's done, and even if you try and watch in the morning, you're going to miss a lot of it. So it is quite tricky to watch. So look, I mean, seeing that today's matches are pretty much over already, I'll just talk a bit about the games tomorrow, which is when the second round begins. And there is a bit.
Well, but before we get to that, I mean, do you have any outright fancies? Like,
look, I think
odds aren't quite available now, but no,
yeah, well, yeah, they'll be available as soon as play closes in an hour or so. Look, Medvedev's the tournament favorite, about just over even money, 2.2. I mean, can't argue with that. I mean, he's definitely a solid world number two. There's no doubt about it. I mean, obviously, this is not Nadal's favorite surface. He's more of a clay player. I would definitely favor Medvedev over both of them. I think it is quite interesting to see that Zverev is higher in the betting than Nadal, but he's also been playing really well. So there's a massive gap, between, if you're looking at the odds, between Medvedev, Zverev, Nadal, and then the rest of the field. And I think that's justified, because someone like Tsitsipas he's mainly a clay player like Nadal. So, I mean, I would be very, very surprised if either, Medvedev or, those three are, the winner's got to be
one
there.
of those
And I just don't see enough value there to back either of those players. I think, look, backing someone besides Djokovic at just over even money doesn't appeal to me. But I just think that Medvedev's got a much stronger chance than the other two. So it's just a tricky field for me. It's kind of almost more difficult without Djokovic.
Yeah,
which is
look at
unusual.
alternatives.
Which is unusual, exactly. So it's not really attractive from an outright perspective for me. But tomorrow there's a bet that I like, and that's in the match between Riley Opelka and Dominic Kupfer. And Riley Opelka you can get at odds of 1.44, and I just don't think he's going to be able to. Well, I don't think Kupfer is going to be able to return enough serves. Opelka's got a massive serve, one of the biggest in the game, and I just think that he's not going to be competitive here. I think Christian Garin. I think he will have too much for Pedro Martinez, and you can actually back those two together. So Garin and Opelka in a double at odds of 17-10, or just over 17-10. In a multi-bet. Now, I think that's quite a nice one. But, I mean, obviously you can take those selections on their own too. Christian Garin, I think, is at about 1.85 or 1.9, around there.
Yeah, 1.73, yeah.
Oh, so he's come in quite a bit. Okay, so the money's coming for Garin already. Anyway, so, yeah, look, I still think that those are backable odds. But if you want to take a bit more of a risky one, I think Garin and Opelka in a double looks a nice bet. That'll probably be around 16-10 around.
Yeah,
there.
around 2.5, depending on where you're going to get it. Okay, awesome. So hopefully we're going to have a nice bit of tennis, and we'll be back in the full swing of things next week with, I think, a bit more sports on our brains. Both of us have had a bit of a break from kind of the worldwide sporting action. There's also the NFL playoffs. We've completely missed. I have been following that. I followed who made the playoffs. I couldn't tell you who did that. That just shows how in the one ear and out the other ear it went.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. As I said, I've been away for a little while, but I'm definitely gonna pick up the NFL again from the playoffs, and definitely watch the Super Bowl. But hopefully catch a few of the playoffs, in the run up to
some of the early games.
Yes. Yeah.
But awesome, guys. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a live stream tomorrow night for the jackpot race. We might have some prizes to give away. And then I haven't been gambling too much, so I have not been posting any videos because I haven't been making any content. I won that, I think it was about 38K or something on Megaball. That was like on Christmas Day or something. So about a month back or 3
Sure,
weeks
that's
back.
a nice Christmas present.
It
Huh?
was, it
Yeah.
was. And since then, I just haven't really played. I've played on the jackpot races, and I just haven't played because I don't want to give anything back, and there's just not too much exciting out at the moment to play. But hopefully, we'll have some stuff coming up soon. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into the podcast, Simon. Good to have you back, and guys, we'll catch you in the next episode. Have a good week, guys. Cheers.